Have you ever walked into a room and just felt great? Or walked into another and felt instantly off? Well, that feeling, it's not an accident. It's actually the result of this invisible science that's happening all around us, a constant conversation between your body and the building you're in.
So, what's the secret here? Why does your favorite coffee shop feel so welcoming, but that one meeting room at work just feels wrong? Well, the answers are hidden in the way our spaces are designed to work with or against our own biology.
All right, let's break this down. First, we're going to talk about the furnace that's inside all of us. Then we'll get into the science of what actually makes us feel comfortable. After that, we'll look beyond temperature to things like light and sound, uncover some pretty serious hidden dangers, and finally wrap up with the rules that are designed to keep us all safe.
So first up, you. Yeah, you. The best way to understand comfort is to start by thinking about your body as this personal engine, one that's basically running 24/7. See, just like a car burns fuel, your body metabolizes the food you eat. But here's the wild part. Only about a fifth of that energy goes into actually doing stuff, like moving your arms or walking around. The rest of it, a whopping 80%, is given off as pure heat.
And all of that heat is being generated for one reason, and one reason only, to maintain this very, very specific temperature. Your body is in this constant, delicate balancing act to stay right around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. If you stray too far in either direction, well, you're trouble.
So how does our own personal engine find that perfect balance with the outside world? Well, that brings us right to our next section, the quest for comfort. The key idea here has a fancy name, thermal equilibrium. It sounds super technical, I know, but the concept is actually simple. You feel comfortable when the heat you're producing is perfectly balanced by the heat you're losing to whatever room you're in. Not too fast, not too slow. It's that Goldilocks, just right feeling. And this is the part you really gotta get. Because your internal engine is always on, your body is always trying to get rid of excess heat. So that feeling of comfort is really just about how well a building is helping you do that.
Now, what's fascinating is how we lose all that heat. Get this, a massive 72% of it is lost through radiation, convection, and conduction, basically just by interacting with the air and the surfaces around you. Evaporation, sweating, plays a much smaller role than you might think. And here are those 4 ways in action. Conduction, that's what you feel when you touch a cool pane of glass. Convection is that nice breeze from a fan. Radiation is that amazing warmth you feel from a sunny spot on the floor, even when the air itself is chilly. And of course, evaporation is just your body's natural AC system, sweat. Every single room you're in is a constant dance between these 4 things. Okay, so we've got temperature down. But let's be real, comfort is so much more than just feeling hot or cold, right? It's a full-on sensory experience. Think about how light makes you feel. A room with great visual comfort isn't just bright, it's all about balance. You need enough light to see clearly, but without that awful glare that makes you squint. It's the difference between a relaxing room with a nice view and the headache you get from staring at a super bright screen in a pitch black room. Good design just feels effortless.
And then, of course, there's what we hear. You know the difference between a quiet library and a chaotic food court. This quote here gets at the real physical danger of loud noise, sure. But acoustics also totally shape our mental state. Can you actually focus? Can you have a private chat? A well-designed space absorbs echoes, quiets the hum of machines, and just makes it easier to think. It calms you down instead of putting you on edge.
So we've covered comfort, but now we've got to shift gears to something even more important. Safety. Because sometimes the biggest threats are the ones hiding in plain sight.
For a long, long time, we built things based on performance, or durability, or just plain cost, not always with our long-term health in mind. And the result is this legacy of invisible hazards, lurking inside the very walls that are supposed to protect us. Take asbestos, for instance. For decades, this stuff was a miracle material. It was cheap, it was durable, and it was amazing at fireproofing. What's not to love? Well, the invisible danger, of course, was that when you disturb it, these tiny fibers get in the air, you breathe them in, and they act like microscopic daggers in your lungs, causing horrible diseases years and years down the line. And then you've got lead paint. Why was it everywhere? Simple. It just worked better. Adding lead made paint dry faster and last longer, but as this chart shows, that performance came at a huge cost. If your home was built before 1940, there's an 87% chance it's on the walls.
That's almost 9 out of 10 homes. And since lead is a powerful neurotoxin, especially for kids, it's a silent threat just waiting under layers of new paint.
And the list, it really does go on. Poor design can lead to mold from dampness, it can help spread pests like insects and rodents, or it can be something as simple as not having enough fresh air to breathe. These aren't just little annoyances, they are genuine threats to our health. Our buildings have to be designed to actively fight against them. So, how do we fight back against all this? That brings us to our final section, the codes, the standards, and the rules that are all designed to protect us. And this quest for safety is not new. I mean, not at all. Look at this timeline. It goes all the way back to 1772 BCE with the Code of Hammurabi. But notice how things have shifted. For centuries, the big worry was just making sure buildings didn't fall down. Then, in the late 20th century, we started looking inward at the quality of the air we're breathing. The 90s brought huge changes, like the ADA for accessibility and a brand new focus on the actual chemicals inside the materials we use. Our definition of what a safe building is constantly changing.
So how does a good idea like, hey, maybe we shouldn't use poison in our paint, actually become a rule that everyone has to follow? Well, it's a process. It starts with expert organizations creating standards. Then, governments officially adopt them into law as building codes. After that, code officials enforce the rules, making sure designers and architects are all on the same page.
So who are these people writing the rules? Well, they're groups of total experts. You've got the NFPA. They're obsessed with fire safety, so we don't have to be. There's ASHRAE, the engineers who figure out the perfect heating and cooling to keep us healthy. And ASTM is like the ultimate science lab, testing every single material to see how safe it is. They're all pieces of this giant puzzle, working together to define what a safe building really is. And you've seen their work, I guarantee it. See this little logo, the UL mark? When you see that on your lamp or your phone charger, it's not just a sticker. It means that product has been seriously tested by a global safety company to make sure it won't be a hazard. It's a tiny symbol of a massive, invisible system working to keep you safe. So, the next time you walk into a room, I want you to just stop for a second. Pay attention. How does the light feel? Can you hear things clearly? Does the air feel fresh? You're not just having a random feeling. You're sensing the results of literally thousands of years of science and design. What are you going to notice now?